going over number 41 through 50 on the 2018 to 2019 official practice ACT. We'll be going over the math portion today, starting with number 41. The frequency chart below shows the cumulative number of Ms. Hernandez's science students whose test scores fell within certain score ranges. All test scores are whole numbers. How many students have a test score in the interval 71 to 80? So here we see that we have 70 and 80. So we know we want one between 71 and 80. This range right here gives us 65 to 80. That's 13. But we know that we don't want to include those 65 to 70. So we look at how many students scored in that range, so we subtract that. 13 minus 12, we get 1. So one student had a test score in the interval 71 to 80. Number 42, the number of decibels D produced by an audio source can be modeled by the equation D equals 10 log I divided by K, where I is the sound intensity of the audio source and K is a constant. How many decibels are produced by an audio source whose sound intensity is 1,000 times the value of K? So we know that I is equal to 1,000 times K. We can plug that into our equation. D equals 10 log 1,000 K over K. Our K's cancel, so we get D is equal to 10 log of 1,000, which we can type that in our calculator, and we get 30. So we know that our decibel is equal to 30. So that would give us answer choice G as our correct answer. Number 43, Mario plays basketball on a town league team. The table below gives Mario's scoring statistics for last season. How many points did Mario score playing basketball last season? So this one, in this table, we see the type of shot, how many points it's worth, 1, 2, or 3, the number of shots he attempted for each type of shot, and then the percent success. All we have to do here is multiply all three of these numbers. And when we use this percentage, we are going to convert that to a decimal. So it'll be 0.75, 0.90, 0.25. So we multiply, 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 and we get 60 for the first one, 108, and 45. Then all we have to do is add up those three numbers, where we get 213 total points. So Mario scored 213 points last season. Our answer to number 43 is C. Number 44, the graph of y is equal to the absolute value of x minus 6 is in the standard xy coordinate plane. Which of the following transformations, when applied to the graph of y is equal to the absolute value of x, results in the graph of y is equal to the absolute value of x minus 6? So we can do this a few ways. First of all, we can remember this trend. However, a lot of people do not remember this trend. So we can then make an xy table with our values, starting with y is equal to absolute value of x. Let's plug in for x values. We'll use -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. So when we plug in -2 to this equation, we get the absolute value of -2. The absolute value of -2, well, that's just 2. Absolute value of -1 is 1. The absolute value of 0, 0. Absolute value of 1, 1. Absolute value of 2, 2. Moving over here, we can do the same thing with our y is equal to the absolute value of x minus 6. we'll use our same values for x. So we'll have -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. Now our y values. So if we plug in up here, y is equal to -2 minus 6, we get the absolute value of -8, which is 8. Then we'll go down, we'll get 7, 6, 5, and 4. Now, if we were to graph this one over here, if we were to graph this equation over here, our standard absolute value of x, we would just get a v that is centered at the origin, so 0, 0. If we were to graph this one over here to the right, we know at -2, our y value is much higher. So we're going to be way up there. And then we go down to 7, 6, 5, 4. So our graph is shifted to the right, which would be shifted to the right by 6 points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we're shifted to the right by 6 points, which goes with F, translation to the right, 6 coordinate units. So our rule here for absolute values, if it's -6, we'll move 6 to the right. If it was +6, we would move 6 to the left. And that works for any other number you place in there as well. Number 45, Toby wants to find the volume of a solid toy soldier. He fills a rectangular container 8 centimeters long, 6 centimeters wide, and 10 centimeters high with water to a depth of 4 centimeters. Toby totally submerges the toy soldier in the water. The height of the water with the submerged toy soldier is 6.6 centimeters. Which of the following is closest to the volume in cubic centimeters of the toy soldier? So we're given a container. We can sketch a picture of this said container. We know that it is 8 centimeters long, 6 centimeters wide, and 10 centimeters high, with water to a depth of 4 centimeters. So we have water in here that goes 4 centimeters. The height of the water with the submerged toy soldier is 6.6 centimeters. So now if we draw another container, we'll have the same container. It'll be 6 by 8 by 10. But now our water has increased to 6.6 centimeters high. Which of the following is closest to the volume in cubic centimeters of the toy soldier? So we want to find the volume of the water in this first picture, which we do by multiplying our base times our height. So our base is 6 times 8 times our height of 4. 6 times 8 times 4, that gives us 192. That will be centimeters cubed. Now we want to find the volume of this second figure. So this was with the toy submerged. The volume of this water is 6 times 8 times 6.6, which gives us 316.8 cubic centimeters. Now we find the difference between these. So we do 316.8 minus 192, which gives us 124.8 cubic centimeters. This difference is the volume of the toy soldier, because that's the only thing that's been added between our tests. So which of the following is closest to the volume in cubic centimeters of the toy soldier? 125, letter A. Number 45. A box in the shape of a cube has an interior side length of 18 inches and is used to ship a right circular cylinder with a radius of 6 inches and a height of 12 inches. The interior of the box, not occupied by the cylinder, is filled with packing material. Which of the following numerical expressions gives the number of cubic inches of the box filled with the packing material? We have a cubic box. And inside is a right cylinder. And we know that it has an interior side length of 18 inches. So we know all of these sides would be 18 because it's a cube. And we know that the cylinder has a radius of 6 inches, which would make our diameter 12 inches. We know that the height of this cylinder is 12 inches. We want to know what the area of everything not occupied by that cylinder, what that area is. So the volume of this cube, again, like we did in the last question, is going to be the base, which is 18 times 18, multiplied by the height, which is also 18. 18 times 18 times 18, 5,832 inches cubed. Now to find the volume of the cylinder, we do base, which in this case is pi r, which is 6 squared, multiplied by our height, which is 12. That then simplifies to 432 pi cubic inches. But we can see here, our answer choices, we don't even have to multiply that out. We know that we did 18 times 18 times 18, which would be the area of our cube, the volume of our cube, excuse me. And then we're going to subtract the volume of our cylinder to find the remaining volume. So we know it's not F or G because we need this 18 cubed, which is the same thing as saying 18 times 18 times 18. Then we're going to subtract pi times radius squared times 12. So here we have minus pi times radius, not squared. Here we have pi times radius squared times 12. This one matches. Moving down to k, we see we have pi times diameter or height cubed, which is not correct either. We know that the answer to 46 is J. Number 47. A room has a rectangular floor that is 15 feet by 21 feet. What is the area of the floor in square yards? So first we convert the feet to yards. So we're going to use our unit cancellation here. So how many feet are in 1 yard? That is 3. So here we cancel the feet. We end up with yards. 15 divided by 3. That leaves us with 5 yards. Then we do the same with 21. So we have 21 feet. Again, there are 3 feet in 1 yard. Feet cancel. 21 divided by 3 leaves us with 7 yards. So now our floor is 5 by 7 yards. What is the area? Well, now we just do 5 times 7, which leaves us with 35 square yards, which matches answer choice B. The answer to number 47 is B. Number 48. ABC cabs and Terry taxi cabs both have an initial fare of a whole number of dollars for one passenger. The fare increases a whole number of dollars at each whole number of miles traveled. The graphs below show the one passenger fares in dollars for both cab companies for trips up to 6 miles. When the fares of the two cab companies are compared, what is a cheaper fare for a 5-mile trip? So let's scroll down and look at these tables here. Graphs, excuse me. So we have 5 miles. We want to know a 5-mile trip. So right here, 5 miles. And 5 miles. So we know that the fare for 5 miles with ABC cabs is right here, which tells us it's $12. We know with Terry taxi cabs at 5 miles, it's only $9. It is not $8, and here it is not $10. We know that they could have driven 4.9 miles and it would have been $10, but once you reach that 5 miles, it's then $12. So now, when the fares of the two cab companies are compared, what is a cheaper fare for a 5-mile trip? Well, 9 is cheaper than $12, so the answer is G, $9. 49. The graph of a function y is equal to f of x consists of 3 line segments. The graph and the coordinates of the endpoints of the 3 line segments are shown in the standard xy coordinate plane below. What is the area in square coordinate units of the region bounded by the graph of y equals f of x, the positive y-axis and the positive x-axis? So they are asking us to essentially find the area of all of this space right here. How can we do that? Well, we can break this into shapes that we know how to find the area of. So if we were to make a line right here, to make this a right triangle, we could find the area of a right triangle. We can also turn this into a right triangle. We can find that area as well. And then we are left with this shape, which is a square. So starting with this small triangle up here, our height is 1, because we have a difference from here to here, 4 to 3. That tells us that the difference in height is 1. We go from this point to this point. Our change in x values is 2. So we know our base is 2. So this small triangle has a height of 1, a base of 2. The equation for area of a triangle is 1/2 times base times height. So that's equal to 1/2 times 2 times 1, which is equal to 1. So we know the area for that triangle is 1. Moving on to our square, we know that our height right here, we go from an x or a y value of 0 to a y value of 3. So we know our height is 3. We can also go, we know here at the origin, our x value is 0. We know if we go here, our x value is now 3. So our base is going to be 3 as well. The area of a rectangle or square is equal to base times height. So base times height, 3 times 3, that gives us 9. Our final triangle, we have another right triangle. Our base, we go from an x value of 3 to an x value of 5. The difference there is 2. So we know our base is 2. Our height is 3. Again, we're going to do the 1/2 times base times height, which is 1/2 times 3 times 2, which gives us an area of 3. So we know that the area of this triangle is 3. Now we add up all of our individual areas. 1 for this small triangle, 3 for this square, or 9 for that square, excuse me, and 3 for this final triangle. So 1 plus 9 plus 3, that equals 13. Which of our answer choices matches? B. The area under the graph is 13, telling us that the answer for number 49 is B. Moving on to number 50. The sum of two positive numbers is 151. The lesser number is 19 more than the square root of the greater number. What is the value of the greater number minus the lesser number? Okay, there's a lot going on in this question. Starting with the first sentence, we know the sum of two positive numbers is 151. So we could say our numbers are going to be x and y. So x plus y is equal to 151. We now know the lesser of the number is 19 more than the square root of the greater number. So now if we say x is equal to 19 plus the square root of y, that agrees with that statement. So if we know the lesser number is 19 more than the square root of the greater number, we are saying that x is the lesser number and the greater number is y. So 19 more than the square root of the greater number. 19 plus square root of y is equal to x. We now have two equations. We can solve for one of these variables. So now we will solve for y. We'll subtract x from both sides. We get y is equal to 151 minus x. Now everywhere there's a y in this equation down below, we'll plug in 151 minus x. So we get x is equal to 19 plus the square root of 151 minus x. We want to get everything that's a part of the radical onto one side. So we end up with x minus 19 is equal to the square root of 151 minus x. To get rid of that square root, we are going to square both sides. So we now end up with x minus 19 times x minus 19 is equal to 151 minus x. Now from here, we're going to FOIL this. So we end up with x squared minus 38x plus 361 is equal to 151 minus x. We can then simplify by combining like terms. So we will then subtract 151 from both sides. So we get x squared minus 38x plus 210 is equal to negative x. Now we can bring this x over to the left side of the equation. So we now get x squared minus 37x plus 210 is equal to 0. From here, we're going to have to factor. So what adds to negative 37 and multiplies to positive 210? Well, we know we are going to have x minus something and x minus something else. Well, 30 and 7 add up to negative 37 and multiply to 210. So these are our answers. Now we have to make this true. So our x values, what are our zeros? 30 and 7. Now these are our two possible answers. We want to plug them into this boxed equation over here. If we were to plug in our values starting with 30, we would get x is equal to 19 plus the square root 151 minus 30. When we plug all of this in, we will find that this is equal to 30, meaning this is true. When we plug 7 in, if we do 19 plus the square root of 151 minus 7, we can find 151 minus 7, that is equal to 144. We know that 19 plus the square root of 144, which is 12, is not equal to 7. So that means that 7 is not a valid answer choice. So we know that our value for x must be 30. We can now find the value for y by plugging it into either of these two equations. The top one is probably easier, so we can plug in 30 plus y is equal to 151. Subtracting 30 from both sides, we find that y is equal to 121. Now this question, they're not asking what's the value of y, so it's not k. They want to know what is the value of the greater number minus the lesser number. So they're asking, what is 121 minus 30? Well, that, you just do 121 minus 30, and you find that that equals 91. So our answer to this question is 91, which is answer choice J. Join us next time when we go over number 51 through 60 and finish off the math portion of the 2018 to 2019 practice ACT. Thank you.